Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. Get on in here, y'all. Get on in here. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. You are now in the den. So, guys, this is my review recap for The Chi Season 6, Episode 4, Re-Up. Baby, it's 420, okay? It's 420 and everybody and their mama is smoking, all right? We need Puff Puff the Dragon to stop by everybody's house. We getting it in. We saying Puff Puff pass, We also find out that Q was a snitch. What? Okay, in my little John voice. Yeah, he apparently has been out here informing in the daggone street. So now Duda, of course, got a longer list of people that he want to take out, a longer list that want to take out him and could possibly go down because the feds is going to be on his behind if they find any type of connections with him in this daggone Q murder. Moving on from that, child. Everybody is turning Zuda down, okay? Rashawn done turned him down about 3-4 times in this episode. Pastor said no weapon, shall be formed against me. I don't care what y'all say. I'm not taking that dough. So now we saying he got to go, The only one that seems to not know how to say no is Emmett. Emmett is still the one left holding the damn bag. Keisha out here talking about she need a freaking maid and a nanny. Girl, if you don't go somewhere and sit your behind down and, the kids is all gathering, okay? We having us a little celebration, a little party. Papa and his girl get out to go bowling. And Jake is out here selling his shirts. Apparently some rapper sees it, likes his stuff and is wearing it in his video. Maisha's still struggling to get a daggone song. Gemma ain't got no more damn money, honey. She done spent all that up and freaking Marcus said, time's up, boo. Okay, if you don't get it together by the time it's time for you to go to school, you going to college, all right? I don't want to hear nothing else about it. And for whatever reason, Bakari keeps trying to involve daggone Rashad into this freaking nonsense, no matter how many times he say no. Tiff don't want to take no for an answer either, and I feel like all these people are going to face the repercussions from their daggone actions. We still got Rob out here doing detective work, okay? Inspector Gadget is still on the case, and Lord, y'all, whew. Let's get into this episode. Take it from the top. You know how we do. Talk all about it, honey. So, we started out with Duda and daggone Bianca, child. Okay, getting steamy and hot and wet in more ways than one. And Rosalind comes in, basically interrupts their little session, okay, to let Duda know, like, yo, Quincy was a damn informant. He was working with the feds, okay? They trying to get a daggone case. They trying to find out who took him out. I hope that you didn't leave no type of evidence, nothing that could end up coming back to you. I'm going to hold them off as much as I can and do what I can on my part. But you slipping, okay? You messed up with that. And so, of course, he is like, really, Duda? Okay. So, moving on from there, we basically see somebody cooking up and come to find out the fellas is getting together and we making some wings, okay? Making some wings. We having a little, chop it up time. But in the meantime, Emmett is running around the whole damn house still looking for this daggone hammer. I said, you got to be kidding me, Emmett. And that was my question at the end of the last episode. Like, did he lay back down because it dawned on him, the only person that could have took that is Darnell? Or did he really just lay back down, still not knowing if one of the kids could have possibly got their hand on it or whatever? And we got our answer. Dummy, Emmett actually still has no clue where this is at. Still trying to look for it without telling anybody what he's looking for. You got Trig and freaking Rashad looking at him like he crazy, telling him, sit down, smoke some of this, calm your nerves. What's really going on with you? And he's not saying nothing to them, nor daggone Keisha. And I'm trying to just make it make sense, y'all, okay? Make it make freaking sense. In the meantime, when they do sit down to have a conversation, Victor starts asking them, like, how do you feel about us doing this, more on a regular basis and really just talking about things and being open with each other and saying the things that we can't say to anybody else or whatever, right? And Victor wasn't doing no smoking, okay? He wasn't toting on nothing. He wanted to be chill and kind of, stay away from it. And so they was like, that don't sound like a bad idea. So he was mentioning to them, let me know if y'all could come through to the center tomorrow, meet up with me there, and we can all have this conversation, right? And he go ahead and take some wings back for you know, Fatima or whatever, right? So when he's basically leaving from there, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. When he's leaving from there, they were saying they could go ahead and finish this conversation at the center or whatever. And they like, all right, yeah, keep me posted. You know what I'm saying? Let me know, I'm down. So in the meantime, I thought it was funny that Emmett kind of was like, well, let me check in with Keisha. Okay. And if she say it's okay, then yeah, I'm definitely would be down for it. I'll be there. So he's like, all right, cool. Now, over at the Dagon Rec Center, we find out that now Dre's ex is working there. Apparently, this is an ex-fiance. She like, girl, what you doing here? And she's like, oh, I came in. I'm basically doing these massages here. And she's like, Tracy ain't let you know. And she's like, no, she ain't saying nothing to me. So she's like, oh, is this going to be an uncomfortable situation? Is it awkward? You feel like you can't do it? And Dre's like, nah, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? No problems. I just didn't know anything about it or whatever, right? And so basically we having, of course, this like awkward stare off or whatever the case may be between them two. And then, she's like, oh, I think it's going to, Dre tells her, I think it's going to be harder for you than it's going to be for me or whatever, right? And then we got Fatima hanging out with her peoples, putting them up to speed, with this move that she about to make with Victor. And they saying, oh, let him lead the way and, get what you could get from him. And, why is it an issue if he want to take care of you, then let him take care of you and all of that whoop-de-whoop-de-woo, right? And Tiff and Rob basically get a tour of, Cairo's little facility that he got where he growing all of the stuff. And we see that this is not going to be no 1-2 thing. They literally have to go rent out the place where they're going to have it. We need separate places for the male and the females. We're talking about how we could get cross-contamination and how that could, cause your weed to have seeds in it or whatever, right? And we also saying how we have to clean ourselves off when we're coming out from one thing to go into the other and all of that. And so Rob is like, yo, this is going to cost a whole lot of money. Like, y'all never said nothing about no 2 separate places or whatever the case may be. And so it's like, well, we going to need more money. And I'm confused. I'm like, how much more money are we talking about? Because remember that Rob initially was only asking his mother, not only but he was asking his mother for 50 racks. And then, of course, he went to the 100. And I don't still know whether him and Keisha, even ever had a conversation about that or not. But in the meantime, Papa and his little friend did get to go out on a date or whatever the case may be, right? We didn't know if she was still going to go with him after the way he fumbled the bag on the last episode. And so apparently she can't bowl as good as he can. And, he's saying how he been doing this since 6 years old and he's an old soul or whatever, right? So, of course, what he gonna do but try to teach her and show her how to bowl. And they basically, had him put in the request for the Anita Baker song. So, of course, we're going to do a little dance and we're going to get a little kissy poo, okay, with that. Now, in the meantime, Gemma Daddy said it ain't gonna be no more funds. I'm not gonna be sitting out here dishing out money for you, you know what I'm saying, non-stop or whatever for you to pursue this career. Gemma already done spent that damn money up that he gave her, and I forgot how much exactly it was, but I know it was a part of her school fund, and he gave her the chance to go ahead and try to make this work. But if it don't work, by the time you graduate, then you're behind going to college. She's trying to tell him how college is a scam, and he's like, well, I'd rather spend money on a damn scam and know that you're gonna have your education than have you out here broke. She's complaining about, oh, well, now all of a sudden that you get Tierra in your life, is a problem and you don't want to dish out to me. So I guess you are basically giving it to her. And he's like, nah, this ain't got nothing to do with that. Like I said, that's when your time is going to be up. So you better get on it. So because she's stressing about that, and I guess she really wants to make this manager thing work, she's going even harder at Maisha. We already see that it's going to be a conflict between her and Maisha. Anyway, we started seeing that last week with the whole money thing. Now this week we got them arguing because she's like, you only got 1 song. You need to work on more songs. She basically pays for studio time for Maisha to go in here to the studio. And the guy is basically like, she all right. She ain't all that though. You know what I'm saying? We got more better people out here than her. And in the middle of the session, just as she's getting into it, they're saying that's it, that the time is up. And so, of course, these two bump heads outside where Maisha's like, yo, I'm the one that's rapping. I'm the one that's putting in stuff. Or I'm seeing you doing is sitting around complaining. But she's telling her, yo, we running out of time and money. Like, we need this to go through right now, ASAP, like yesterday, okay? And we also see that it's going to, of course, be a conflict later once we find out about her and Dagon, her and Kevin, which we know is not too far off, right? And so, of course, we basically, see that the kids all get together and we're playing this Pictionary game, and Papa brings his friend there, and it's real awkward. We got the guys against the girls, and we basically saying how usually girls are smarter and we win, and Maisha's kind of blaming Papa's, girl or friend for them losing and stuff like that, and she like, excuse me. Then she not with the smoking. Of course, we got all of them smoking, and she want to go open the window, and they kind of like, nah, what you doing? You can't open the window. It's cold in here. And then Kevin talking about some, nah, go ahead. It's all right. You can open it because I don't want my landlord to be complaining anyway. And Kevin ends up slipping up, child. Okay, where Maisha brung up like people not being loyal, and he was like, oh, I've never been disloyal to you, and they was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, nothing. And then he just went to try to pass Papa the smoke, and of course Papa want to turn it down because he's with his girl, and he's talking about, we got these responsibilities. So even though we was having a somewhat fun night, it was like everybody caught that. And it was really, really awkward. And then when Papa was saying that she was his girl, she was like, oh, no, I'm not his girl. So it was like, did she just say she not his girl, to be mean or to call him out? Or is it that she don't want him to be saying that she's his girl because she knows that he's still underage, right? That's what I'm thinking it is. And she don't want to have a certain persona or have, people saying that they together when he's still, under 18, right? Now, back at the house, like I said, child, Keisha was in there, she's washing dishes, multitasking, looked like she made something, got books on the table, whatever have you, and the kids break this glass. So, of course, she's upset, and she's saying, I told y'all not to be playing with the ball in the house, running in the house, and all of that, and she was about to clean it up, and Emmett came in, and he's like, what's going on here? And so she's like, well, I'm leaving. You basically got the kids. And he was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? She's like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm going to meet up with Tiff. And she tells him, we need a nanny or a damn maid. And he was like, girl, this ain't the freaking Fresh Prince of Chicago. I said, yeah, Keisha, you doing too damn much now. Like, first you wanted the house, okay? Even though you knew what came with it and you knew who it came from, talking about this is a loan. Now you want to talk about a nanny and a maid, girl. Like, where's this money coming in at? How much money you making at the school with your new job? Because I'm confused. Like, all of a sudden it's okay to take from Duda as far as his money goes or whatever and be like, oh, it's a loan. What you paying this loan back in blood? Like, come on, let's be realistic. All right, she's doing too much and she really starting to irritate me. I'm sorry. So Emmett ends up taking them with him to the center because, of course, at this point, he's supposed to meet up with, freaking Rashad and Trig and all of them there. And he bumps into Darnell as he's coming. And then he finds out, being as though he brung them with him, because he's like, oh, Keisha left. She left me here to babysit. And I love the fact that Darnell corrected him and was like, it's not babysitting when it's your damn kids, okay? But the guy lets him know that they have like a child care thing there that he could leave the kids at while he go to talk. And he's like, okay, cool. Child, while Darnell pulls him to the side, he's like, we need to talk for a minute. And Darnell basically gives him the breakdown and lets him know, like, yo, I got that gift that, dude, I got from you. And you ain't no gangster. And Emmett is like, I never said I was. He was like, yeah, I used to run the streets, okay? So we know now that Darnell was about them streets, okay? And so he's basically like, that's not the life for you and all of that. And I love these conversations that Emmett and Darnell have. That's one thing I liked. One of my favorite parts about this episode was when all the guys sat together and, was able to talk. I love when they show those dynamics. I love when they show, them just showing love amongst each other. and being able to be open and honest with each other. And y'all know that I'm always here for, like therapy and things of that nature anyway. And so, Emmett was getting mad saying, yo, give it back to me. Like, I didn't ask you to step in. I ain't ask you to do nothing. And Darnell's like, nah, you ain't getting it back. If you feel like you need it, then you come ask me and you come get me or whatever the case may be. And I'll be there for you with it. And Emmett was in his feelings about it, but I agree 110% with Darnell. I think Darnell was in the right with this situation. Emmett do not need to have no daggone hammer, child. Okay, from the minute he had that damn thing, he did 3 wrong things with it. Playing around with it in the mirror, not knowing whether it was loaded, not knowing whether the safety was on, putting it in a drawer where the daggone kids could get to it, lying about it, still looking for it, thinking that it was somewhere in the daggone house. All of those things let me know that Emmett ain't got no business with no freaking peace, okay? So Darnell, as far as I'm concerned, was right with that. Now, moving on from there, we basically had Jake also, he making money. He's selling his clothes online or whatever the case may be. And he find, this guy comes in or whatever, and meanwhile Fatima Friends was trying to be like, oh, who is this boy, does he pay rent and all of this in reference to Dago and Jake, and she's like, that's his little brother, he been living here longer than me, and no, he don't pay rent, we let him keep his money to himself. And right behind that, we have some guy come in basically saying derogatory words and, being like, oh, I don't need to buy nothing from in here anyway. And Jake is basically like, yeah, well, you could get the hell up out of here. And I was like, yeah, y'all doing too much, because I don't know how the hell y'all saying that Jake is the one to leave. And then not even 5 minutes later, he was actually the one that's ending up, coming to Fatima's defense. So we did sit down to this meeting or whatever, and Victor's just telling them, like, y'all can let it all out here. Doesn't matter what it is, okay? Rashad talking about sex stuff. He like any stuff, anything that's on your mind. This is a safe space. So, of course, Jamal is saying, it's no judgment or whatever. He's like, nope, no judgment. So Jamal says, of course, for him, that is basically proving not only to Lene, but to himself that he could stay out, that he could do better, Marcus talks about how it's hard they don't know who the person is. He just say his girlfriend and daughter. But of course he's talking about Sierra, how they having a hard time coming together. And Emmett is like, listen, if Tiff and Dagon Keisha could get along, anybody could get along. I'm sure it's going to all work itself out as far as that. And then they're also asking, like, how can we help? Victor is saying it's too much on him as far as this whole political thing. He's going to have a lot of people that's going to be dependent on him, and a lot of people that's going to get frustrated and not like everything that he does as well. We have a real moment with Emmett and Darnell where Emmett is like, yo, you was not there when I was younger. I did not have the role model to look up to and how to be a man, but yet I'm expected to be a man. I'm expected to be able to be Superman and do everything, right? And Rashad basically is like, all of y'all got a nerve to complain. Like, y'all sitting around here complaining when I'm the one that's basically don't have nothing. I see all of y'all as being successful, right? And that's usually how it is. Like, we could see our own issues, but being able to look at somebody else's and put ourselves in their shoes, he like, I don't have no job or anything, and I still wasn't hearing nothing. Okay, it was crickets. I ain't hear none of them say, well, we could help you with the job situation, Rashad, right? And speaking of Rashad, we had different situations where first he was at the chop shop and Zuda came and he gave him this big stack of money or whatever, he helped him break down the cars, and Rashad basically says, well, this is going to be a one-time only thing. I don't want no other parts, right? And he said the last time he seen that amount of money is when he had robbed the bank. And then the next time we see him, we still basically had them offering like his other work that we could get you to do, and he still was saying no. We had freaking Gemma and Jake chilling at the daggone house, and this is when she basically sees that there's a rapper that's wearing his shirt, but the rapper is just saying the most misogynistic, off the hook lyrics, and Jake is like, well, that's usually how rappers are. And so she was like, well, maybe, if this is what's in and this is what gets people going or whatever, what the hell is me and you know, Maisha gonna do? And he's like, I don't know, you might have to switch it up. And he was like, well, dag, at least this person could have tagged me in it. He was like, I know what, I'm gonna reshare it and tag them. And she's like, yeah, congratulations, babe. So you could just see the wheels turning in her head, that she's trying to figure out how Maisha's gonna be able to switch it up to compete with something like this and get herself put out there, right? And when the kids was all together, even Bakari was like, yo, what's up with that shirt? And it's like, oh, I sold them. And, you know, that he wanted 50, but they met at 35, okay? Because he was like, nah, it ain't worth no 50. So Jake seems to be doing as, you know, good as far as his business part goes. Now, of course, we get to dag on, you know, freaking Darnell in house, and he done invited Rashad, so we already knew where this is going, and his lady, and he invited Marcus and Tierra. So of course, you know, Rashad like, oh, that's my boy, I didn't know he was gonna be here too. And Darnell talking about how he loved to cook and he made them this dinner, whatever the case may be. And you know, she's just like, Jada was like, nah, that's more so about him being cheap and not wanting to spend the money in the restaurant. And he's like, yeah, why should I spend that? And not only that, you know, the food don't be as good and you get all these tickets while you down there. So he is like, you know, this is what he prefers. And he invites all of them in, and of course we have the awkward moment where they see each other, because we know that Rashad has still been thinking about Tierra, and he literally mentions in the meeting in front of Marcus, like, as a lady that I can't stop thinking about. But he also says how great his lady is, how she stood by him, how he just want to make sure that he does right by her and all of that. And so they not knowing that they was talking about the same person. But now when we get here, you know, his girl was giving it off, honey. She was just like, oh, well, you know, what's going on with you and what you been up to? And yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. And what was it that you did for a living or whatever, right? And so she's saying how she had this crazy life, and Darnell is like, I can't tell, you look like a princess, and they all laughing or whatever. And she's like, well, I'm so glad that you found someone. And Marcus and her is looking into each other's eyes, talking about some thank you. And, you know, Darnell's like, I don't think I ever seen you with a woman before. You know, he was like, oh, well, I didn't just bring any and every woman around. And then, you know, Darnell talking about some old spoken like a true pimp. And he like, nah, this ain't nothing about, you know, being a pimp or whatever. But when she started asking her, what do she do for a living, Rashad, you know, cut in and was like, I don't think that's a question that you should ask. And she was like, huh? He was like, yeah, I'm just saying it makes me real uncomfortable when, you know, people ask me that or whatever the case may be. I don't be liking it, right? And so she definitely was not hiding that she don't care for Tierra whatsoever. But, you know, we going to just still try to play it off and try to eat. And then Darnell changes the subject, and he talks about a job that him and Rashad could do together. So Rashad like, oh, what is it? You know what I'm saying? I'm all ears. Darnell over here talking about something is like sexy maids or whatever, but it's basically with them being like with they tool belts coming to fix, you know, stuff in people's houses or whatever, and they can make 200 to 300 a day now. Shoot, that didn't sound like a bad, you know, little bit of change to me. But Rashad talking about something, that's it. And so Darnell was basically like, yo, we, you know, fixing their pipes. We not laying the pipes, okay? So they all started laughing about that. Now, all of a sudden, we get to Duda here at the club, and we talking about who could possibly potentially take his spot or whatever, right? And he's like, no, he's too wet behind the ears. You know, nobody could do it like me. Whoop-de whoop-de woo. And Bianca's like, I know Nuck is your favorite. And he's talking about some, yeah, he's good or whatever, but he's not ruthless enough. And I'm like, since when Nuck is not ruthless enough? Since when Nuck don't have what it takes? I'm so confused with this. Like, where are we going with this? Why are we trying to change these characters around and make them seem like something else now? I don't know. But I guess Rashad ended up leaving the dinner, and he came here and he's like, oh, at least this is a place that I can smoke. It's better than not being able to smoke outside. And he's over here like ready to take this drink and all this. And I'm saying, Rashad, I get it. And I appreciate the fact that you've been turning them down at every turn. But however, karma, why are you even putting yourself in the position and keep showing up? Because at one point, Zuda was saying like, y'all got to get rid of this. Why do we still have these? Talking about this bag of hammers. And they asked Bakari, did he know anybody that, they could give it to? And Bakari over here freaking, basically offering up Rashad and keep trying to put him in these situations. And Rashad is being a big dummy in my freaking opinion, okay? Still going along with it, but then when you see the bag of the hammers, you jumping up, oh no, I gotta stay away from that. I don't need to get nowhere near that. That's not what I want, my life to be about or whatever. Then why did you go there? You already know what Zuda is about. Mind you, in the freaking meeting, Darnell just finished saying we gotta watch the company we keep and the things that we doing, and they like, oh, we all think that we're in good company here right now. But you keep going around Zuda when you know what he about, just like damn Emmett done behind. Meanwhile, Nuck, if you buck, had also went to the church and he had basically had all this money. And like I said, Pastor was not hearing it. He like, no weapon shall be formed against me. I don't care what y'all come with. I am not accepting it, right? And so everybody else seems able to turn down things or whatever, right? But then freaking Emmett gets a knock at the door and there's a bag full of money or whatever. And he like, nah, I can't hold this here. What if Keisha find it? And Nuck, if you buck, is like, well, put it in the spot where she can't find it. And he basically pushes it in Emma's hand, and Emma like a dummy holds it, keeps it, and closes the damn door. So we know that's gonna come back to bite freaking behinds again too. Now, Bakari say he got it and he gonna go talk to Rashad. Don't worry about it or whatever the case may be. And then we get the pastor over here giving a sermon and everybody at church today, okay? We done smoked and smoked and smoked. Now we over here at the church praying and praying and praying while pastor preaching. And pastor is saying how, when there's a daggone devil in the midst, we got to go ahead and get them the hell up out of here. We cannot still be having them, sitting around in our face. And I also forgot to mention, child, that Tiff had a damn attitude because they went to see Trig, right, to ask him about getting the council to vote on this. He could sign off on it as far as them being able to get this weed business, and she's saying how it will bring jobs and help the community. And he's like, look, I get it, but I'm just letting you know what the odds will be. And he do have some other things that he have to take care of before that. So he's saying that they would have to give him like 6 months. She over here, I'm not gonna go no 6 months. I'm not waiting. Kyra was there to say that he would basically endorse it and that he comes from whatever farms, right? And so she leave out a head all pissed and just basically still saying that she's not gonna wait. And Rob stays behind and says that he wants to talk to Victor. So, of course, he's asking him, like, yo, that's not what I heard. Your name was coming up. Do you know anything about what happened with Q and who was after him and all of this stuff? And Victor saying he don't know nothing. And Rob is like, you better not be lying to me. I said, child, this going to be a whole ass mess, because Rosalind did go and see Victor, too, and put him up to speed with what was going on, and basically says, so you could be a damn accessory after the fact. You don't know nothing, you ain't see nothing, just basically keep your mouth shut no matter what, right? So I said, oh boy, we already see where that's going. So, moving on from there, we basically had pastor up here saying his sermon and everybody looking, and all of a sudden Duda stand up and he's just like, take care of him. And Nuck is like, done. So we just taking pastor out now because he don't want to do what y'all want him to do? I guess so, y'all. But we already knew it. The first name on the list originally was Papa. Then after like 2 episodes ago, I started saying it could possibly be his father. We could even see a situation where Papa or Bakari get hurt trying to defend the father. We could have another casualty that get caught in the crossfire, even though they trying to get to him. But I'm pretty sure that it's going to be his father, and that Papa's probably going to end up taking over the daggone pulpit, after his father. And, child, I don't know what y'all think. Put it in the comments. Let me know. What did you think about this episode? What do you rate it? What do you think we going to see happening? Put it all in the comments. Anything that I left out, let's discuss it down there. Give me a wave. Let me know you came by. Put some flames up in the sky. Till next time, y'all. Toodaloo.